Zimbabwe is going band for band with South Africa. Like, you guys denied her a liver. We're denying your guy medical treatment. What I blame them for, however, is being in a country without the proper documentation. Because look, shit has hit the fan. South Africans are getting tired at this point. Y'all come here, you get treatment, medical supplies for free, but when one of our own is in your country, you guys have to send him back? Hi guys, my name is Michelle, but you can call me Mimi. Welcome to Mimi Unfiltered TV. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how South Africa handled a Zimbabwean patient that needed a medical procedure and how Zimbabwe handled a South African patient that needed a medical procedure. Now, the two cases are different. One requires an organ transplant and the other doesn't really specify, but I don't think it's as severe as needing an organ transplant. But it's just an interesting debate that's going on where some South Africans are saying, you see, Zimbabwe turned away a South African, so we should do the same when Zimbabweans come for help. And there's the other coin of, yeah, but Zimbabwe's medical system is in shambles. So anyway, before we get to that whole comparing analysis thingamajigamababibibi, let's just dive into the first case, which is the Zimbabwean, because that's what happened first before the South African that needed help in Zimbabwe. So we have a 15-year-old girl born to Zimbabwean parents living in South Africa. She got ill and she was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, and unfortunately that condition got worse and she ended up with liver cirrhosis. So the family was advised that they had two options. The first option was to get a liver transplant from a South African that was deceased and had given consent for his organs to be used for medical procedures, or they could get a liver transplant from a living person, usually a family member. So in that procedure, what would happen is they would cut off a piece of the liver from the family member and then attach that piece of liver to the patient, and that would help her liver to regenerate and heal itself. But because of her diagnosis, the better option was for her to get a full liver transplant. However, they were told that there is a national priority list for recipients of an organ, and that Zimbabweans weren't allowed to receive organs from deceased South Africans unless they had the proper documentation. Okay, so that doesn't sound too bad, does it? But the problem is, this family did not have the proper documentation to be in South Africa, let alone receive an organ. So the father says that he had a work permit, but that work permit expired. But he applied for an extension of his expired work permit and he was still waiting for the outcome of that application. And he believes that just because he was having problems with his work permit doesn't mean that his daughter should be denied the proper care that she needs. So since their daughter was denied an organ due to their legal status, the family has contacted the lawyer to help file an urgent application with the High Court to compel Charlotte Maxeke Hospital to provide the necessary treatment that their daughter needs. Now keep in mind, this treatment costs up to 1.5 million rands, but the family says that they're willing to meet that cost. So the lawyer that they got to help them was quoted as saying, "It is symbolic of the fact that South Africa has lost its moral, legal, and pan-African compass. My clients remain defiant under the circumstances, and the legal team I'm leading will do everything in our power to save this young child's life." Okay, so anyway, these are my thoughts on this case. So starting with the parents, I understand why they are applying for this at the High Court. I understand. They are parents scared of losing their child, and to be honest, this is what they should do as parents. You're supposed to do every single thing you can do. So I don't blame them for doing this. What I blame them for, however, is being in a country without the proper documentation. Because look, shit has hit the fan and now your daughter can't get the organ that she needs just because she doesn't have a document. A document that you could have made sure she had before shit hit the fan. And I know that might sound harsh, but let's be for real. Every single person has problems. Everyone around the world has problems. So we can't say that, oh no, it's not her fault. She needs help. blah, 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 because that's the same thing that can be said for millions of people around the world. So moving away from the emotion and all of that, let's stick to the hard, cold facts. She can get a transplant if she has the proper documentation, but she does not have the proper documentation because the parents didn't make sure that she had that. It's not the hospital's fault, it's the parents' fault. And I feel like that guilt is eating away at them and they're looking for someone else to blame, which is why, they're going after the hospital. And like I said, they should do that because as parents, you should try every single thing in your power to help your child. But I hope they're being honest with themselves and realizing that them not keeping up with their documents is now shooting their daughter in the foot, because now her life is at a standstill and her life is slowly deteriorating while they're waiting for a decision to be made in their daughter's favor. Unfortunately, though, I don't think that they're going to get the decision that they want, because the law is on the hospital side, as it clearly states that in order to receive an organ as a foreigner, these are the requirements that you need to meet, and this family just simply does not meet those requirements. So for the lawyer to be like, this shows that South Africa has lost its blah, 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 that's doing too much. That's doing way too much. But at the same time, he's a lawyer. He wants to win a case, so he has to do things like this. But that's doing too much, because South Africa provides a lot of care to foreign nationals free of charge. A lot. I've been to public hospitals and clinics, and the stuff that the nurses have to deal with is a lot. And to have to deal with people that come in and sometimes don't even speak the language, and you have to get someone to translate things that I've seen myself. It's very difficult. Or you see someone 2 hours away from giving birth and they're coming in for the first time at the clinic, and the nurses now have to deal with that. So I feel like South Africa does a lot for foreign nationals. They do a lot, and for the lawyer to be saying this is just too much. But at the same time, like I said, he's a lawyer. He has to do what he has to do. What I will say in defense of the parents, though, is that if there is a liver that's ready and available that their daughter can use, that no other South African or foreign national with proper documentation can use, then they might as well just give the liver to, their daughter, so that it doesn't go to waste. So obviously we'll just wait and hear how this case unfolds. But like I said, the parents have no case. They're just doing this because they're desperate to save their child's life. And I can't hate on them for that. But at the same time, they should have made sure their shit was in order to make sure that their daughter got the help that she needed. But anyway, let's move over to the second case of the South African that was in Zimbabwe that needed a medical procedure done, but unfortunately could not receive that and had to be flown back to South Africa. Okay, so there was a South African that was working in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe, and he fell ill. So he needed medical help, of course. He went to a hospital, was admitted, but unfortunately he could not receive the proper care that he needed. And a decision was made for him to be flown back to South Africa for treatment. He was transported to Beitbridge by the Zimbabwean government, and then the South African government, Limpopo to be particular, sent over a helicopter to fetch him from Beitbridge and bring him into South Africa, Limpopo, where he has now been admitted and is receiving the care that he needs. So when the story made headlines, of course, a lot of South Africans were shocked, like, oh, so this is what happens when the shoe's on the other foot. Y'all come here, you get treatment, medical supplies for free, but when one of our own is in your country, you guys have to send him back. We're too nice to these foreigners. We need to now start charging them, or if they don't want to pay, send them back home. Okay, so I know the easiest thing is to believe that, Zimbabwe is going tit for tat, like, oh, so you guys didn't give the girl a liver, we're not giving your guy medical treatment. It's easy to believe that. But to be honest, Zimbabwe's medical system is in shambles.
Ma une umbhida une patient.
So after watching that video, I'm sure you can understand how it's believable that Zimbabwe simply did not have the proper equipment in order to help this South African that needed medical assistance in Zimbabwe. And the easiest thing for them to do was be like, yo, South Africa, please come fetch your guy, because we can't handle this. We can barely handle our own citizens. So for us to now have a South African in our care, we don't want to be responsible if anything happens to him. Please come and fetch him. So I can understand that. So no, it was not a band for band type of situation. And it's not a, he's a foreigner, he can't get help here. No. The problem is they literally cannot provide the proper help to him. That's why he had to be flown back. So yeah, it's very disappointing that this is what's happening between these two countries. You know, we are neighbors. We should be able to get along. We should be able to, you know, be trading with each other and helping uplift each other. But it seems like the Zimbabweans are taking advantage of South Africans, and South Africans are getting tired at this point. And at first it started off a bit xenophobic, you know, when they were burning people and things like that. But now it is a big issue that needs to be, you know, tackled by both the Zimbabweans and South Africans, because the way that Zimbabweans keep flocking to South Africa for medical treatment, for medical this, for medical that, is a lot, and it puts a strain on the South African medical system, and they are now left scrambling to try and help their own citizens plus the citizens of other countries. And you know what, I feel like South Africa should start sending bills to these countries. They should start compiling a list of every foreign national that comes to their hospitals or clinics. They assist them for free because that is within the constitution, but they must write down, okay, today we had 1,000 Zimbabweans come. These are the procedures that we did for them. These are the medications that we gave them. These are the costs of those services and treatments that we gave them. And then start sending those bills to the countries so that those countries can now start fixing their own medical system in order to help their citizens, because it is not the South African health system's responsibility to care for other countries' citizens. So anyway, guys, what do you think about this whole situation? Do you think that on the low, Zimbabwe is going band for band with South Africa? Like, you guys denied her a liver, we denying your guy medical treatment? Or do you believe that, yeah, no, Zimbabwe's medical system is in shambles and there's literally nothing that they could have done to help? And do you also believe that in terms of the girl that needs a liver transplant, that her family is just desperate and doing this, you know, because they want to save her life? But to be honest, she doesn't have a case. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.